we'll get into it. So, big news for 2020. We were talking about just DreamHack 2019. Rocket League's been amazing. Well, Rocket League's going to get even better. We're going to the Olympics, going to Tokyo in 2020. This will be like a pre-Olympic tournament. It won't be during the Olympics. It won't be like necessarily exactly tied to the Olympics in terms of, medals, I guess. I'm not really sure how this works. It might have medals. I have no idea. But it's Olympics-backed 500K Intel World Open that will involve Rocket League and Street Fighter. So it's going to be really, really cool. It'll be $250,000 for each, and it'll be with national teams. And the reason why we are here today, besides talking about all this, which is awesome, and hopefully I get to go to Tokyo. It's the one place I always have wanted to go. I'm not a big traveler, but I've always wanted to go to Tokyo. So, Psyonix, please. Please, Psyonix, please. Let's talk about what we think some of these national teams could be. So, we'll do our fancy PowerPoint. And let's just start getting through it. And we'll talk about who you guys think as well. Like, chat will be up in the top right corner, so feel free. We're live on Twitch. And then, obviously, this will be on the YouTubes. Let me update this title. And, yeah, let's see what teams we can come up with here. So we're going to talk about... We're going to go through the major countries, then we'll just have some smaller country teams, stuff like that. So let's get into it. First, the United States of America. They have a lot of people. I mostly look through RLCS rosters. Sometimes I added a couple extra if I wanted to. But for the United States, it has the most players available from like RLCS level competition. So we don't know how the online qualifiers will be, that there'll be online qualifiers for this event, then there'll be LAN qualifiers in Poland in June, and then in July is the actual tournament. We don't know how the online qualifiers are. I'm just going to guess, and I could be wrong, is that it'll just be like, hey, you make your 3v3 teams. Whoever wins this 3v3 tournament will represent USA. No idea if that's how it's going to be. Whatever. But we're going to pretend that that's the case here. So there's a lot of teams that have 2 players from USA. The only team that has more than that is the full Peeps roster and the full roster from Rogue. Plus the Birds and Bees roster as well. So honestly, it comes down to, like, I would assume a lot of these teams would probably want some cohesion. You can't see everything in the bottom left corner. It's okay. It's not a big deal. You would probably want some cohesion. So I could see, like, out of the big 3, one of those teams splitting up while the other teams that are in the big 3, they stay together and pick up one of the big 3 members. Could happen. Who knows? So in my personal team that I think would represent USA would be Garrett G, Justin, and Chicago. Like, if that happened, probably Gimmick and Torment and Rizzo would team up. It could be Garrett, Justin, and Gimmick. Who knows? Or Garrett, Justin, and Torment. But, like, one of those 3 would probably split up to form the 2 other super teams, we'll call them. It's not necessarily that they'd make it. Like, obviously, we just saw Peeps win DreamHack, so they could just run through. And same with Rogue as well, like, if you are a roster. Now, again, this isn't for another year almost, or, like, 9 months, so, things could change. But personally, I think if USA would have its best chance with Garrett G, Justin, and Chicago, in my personal opinion. Moving on. We'll go to Canada. Canada has a little bit less options, but they're very, very good players. In the RLCS, you have Squishy, JNaps, Illusion, AXB. Then Krepta G is down in the Rival Series, and Mouse Sports Coach is Lethamir. Personally, I'd probably go Squishy, JNaps, and AXB for this roster. With a side note of, if they don't want AXB, I could see a Corrupted G on this team. Like, a lot of people keep saying Lethamir, but I don't see Lethamir on this team. Like, I could see him coaching this team for sure, but I don't see him on the squad. Like, I think Corrupted G is probably more well-rounded, maybe, but I think AXB is probably a bit more talented. So it just depends what they want. But that's probably the roster I would go with, is Squishy, JNaps, and AXB. So we'll see. But Canada would be a very, very strong team there as well. It just comes down to who plays defense, I guess, on that team, right? That's why maybe you throw in Krepta G and have him play a little bit more defense. But I don't think it would be that big of a deal for Canada. Moving on. For France, obviously France is one of those power countries in all of not only Europe, but the world for Rocket League. And you have a lot of choices here. From Reciprocity, you have Ferrer and Chaussette. Vitality, you have Fairy Peak K-Dop. TSM's Alpha. Veloce's Casio. And, of course, Mount. But my personal team would probably be Fairy Peak K-Dop and Chaussette. You could probably throw Alpha in there as well as one of the options, but you'd probably keep Fairy Peak and K-Dop as a duo. And then either Chaussette or Alpha, in my opinion, would probably be the next guy to join this team. It just depends what they want. Chaussette would fit perfectly, I think, because he does play a more defensive first style. But if Fairy Peak wants to play that defensive first style, then you would bring an Alpha. But either of those teams, I think, could easily win this tournament. And then if they just get 3 Mouts together, maybe they just win the tournament there. Who knows? But yeah, Great Britain. Let's go over them. So for the Olympic purposes, you put Great Britain as one big thing. So you have Barcelona's Devo and Bluey. You have Vitality Scrub Killer. You have Mouse's Speed. And you have Veloce's Flame. I would probably do Scrub, Speed, and Devo with an optional Flame. It depends how Flame looks. Like, I think if Flame has a great RLCS season here, you could probably put Flame on this team too. And it depends how Barcelona looks as well. But as of right now, Flame has never really showed up in the big-time moments. So that's why I'd probably keep him off. But I do think Flame is a very talented player. I just don't know how this roster would do, honestly. With Scrub and Speed on the same team, I have no idea. It would be hilarious to watch them, but I just honestly have no idea how that would work out. Don't trust Bluey. Like, I don't think Bluey sizes up to some of the other guys. I don't know. Like, Bluey's more of like an aggressor, just going for challenges and such, but I would rather Devo or Flame personally on this team. Now, it's possible that Devo and Bluey team up and they try and grab one of these 3, and then what do the other 2 do? Who do they grab? I didn't go down the full list of players from Great Britain, but here's what I got here. So I got Scrub, Speed, and Devo as of right now. Could change at the end of the season. Who knows if Bluey has a big season or Flame has a big season. I could see Flame or Bluey on this team. But that's what I have for Great Britain. Moving on, Denmark. You have Reciprocity's Fruity, Barcelona's Ronicky, and then other notables as Mummy Snow, Maestro, and Snasky. My personal team would be Fruity, Ronicky, and Maestro. Maestro, he still got it. Who knows? Like, I don't even know if he's playing this season, actually, now that I think about it. So, but I think one thing that could happen is with this thing coming in 2020 for the Olympics, I could see a lot of these guys beginning to pick up Rocket League again to have a chance to play in Tokyo. So we could see a resurgence of some of these players from Europe that have either retired or kind of just went away. But in their countries where, like, there's not as many notable players, they still have a chance, They still have a chance to do well. So we could see that happening. But I got Fruity, Ronicky, and a Maestro on this squad. Pretty simple. Netherlands. All right, we have Diggs, Violent Panda. We have TSM's Remco, and Complexity's Flakes. There's other notables as well. Niels Cook, Aslan, Taz, and Jesse. Personally, I would take the 3 RLCS guys, Panda, Remco, and Flakes. This team probably wouldn't be too terrible. You could see Panda moving upfield, trying to pass to Flakes. Flakes doing some solo plays. Remco playing a supportive third. It's not a terrible team. Like, I think this would be one of those sleeper teams that I think a lot of people wouldn't really count on doing too much damage, but they could easily probably upset and win this tournament. But that would be Netherlands. Now, let's talk about some other European teams. You got Finland. You have Mets, Magnus, and Jazer. There isn't a lot of options in some of these places, so I just kind of made teams that I thought would make sense. Norway, you have Greasy, J Walls. I spelled that wrong, sorry. And Sieb. Belgium, you have Astro, Bilbo, and Impact. Italy, Cooksier, Arju, and CKS. I think there was one other player for Italy that could be in for CKS from Team Wilf, WLF. But I'm not sure who is actually the better player there. Team Sweden, Turbo, Alot, and Zenzis. Germany, you have Freaky, Tigray, and Alex. And since they've been teammates before, Alex and Tigray, maybe that would work out. Who knows? And then Spain, which I don't have on here, and sorry, you can't see everything on the screen. Spain, it would just be Team ARG if they're still playing together. I don't actually recall, but I'm pretty sure they are. So those would be some other European teams that would have a chance to do some damage. I personally would rate these guys a little bit lower than some of the others, but obviously Finland in the World Cup that League of Rockets put on made it all the way to the finals, I believe, right? So, who knows? Like, obviously, that was a long time ago, but still possible. Mets and Magnus, obviously two very, very solid players still. Moving on, we got some OCE teams. Australian RLCS options. I only looked at the big three teams because I didn't want to go any further because I didn't think most of them would be picked up. But you have Renegades, Torsos, and Siki. You have Ground Zero, Game and Steka, Jules, and Zen. You have Icons, CJ, Express, and Hawk. And then other notables, Drip A, probably on Team Icon. Or I'm sorry, not Icon anymore, but I put Icon there. I'm sorry, it's actually the Chiefs. I was looking at last season's, so I was writing this quickly. My apologies. But Drip A is probably that player that's actually going to join that team since Hawk is too young. But the Australia roster, I would probably put Torsos, CJ, and Drip A. Personally, Drip A and Torsos have a lot of experience together. CJ would probably be a good leader on that squad, and I think that would be a pretty solid roster. That could do some damage. I also put New Zealand roster here because they don't really have a ton of players. So that'd be Cammy, Adzi, and Bluey is what I have for that roster. I could be a little bit off on those depending on how well or how much these guys are playing nowadays, but there's not a lot of options for New Zealand, so that's what I have there. Moving on, South America teams. It's all Brazil. That's really all it is. There's like a couple other players that, like for Argentina, that could work as a team probably, but honestly, it's just Brazil. You have the full Lotus roster, the full Erodium roster, the full INTZ roster, and the full low-key roster. Any of those four. Whichever one wins that qualifier, I guess, right? It doesn't really matter. But South America is pretty much all Brazil. A lot of the other guys are not in the big four of South America. They're just other players that probably wouldn't have too much of a shot. But you never know. And then moving on, I think we're going to do our top 5 predictions just for fun at the start here. If you guys can guess the top 5 for me in what order, and let's see if anyone gets it right. So Twitch chat, have fun with this one. Who you think the top 5 would be? Bluey is from New Zealand, yes. Not the other Bluey, but it's a different Bluey. Yeah, there's not a lot of Argentinian players for the most part, but top 5 Brazilian players. Like, honestly, when you have a full roster, like, I assume these guys are trying to make the roster that they think would be the best in South America, so you'd probably just play as your roster, right? Like, if you are a full roster. It's the same with, like, back when we were talking about Energy, where it's like, oh, if there was a Team USA team, why wouldn't it be Energy when they were doing so well with Fireburner? Now, obviously, it's a little bit different because Turbo is on that squad, but like, because you already have that cohesion there, like, why wouldn't you just use that squad? But we'll see. What top 5 am I asking about? Top 5 countries to win the tournament. Sorry, not top 5 South American players. My apologies. All right, what do we got? We got France, USA, Canada. I forgot 2 other ones. That's fine. If you want to do top 3, that's fine. USA, France, Canada, Netherlands, GB. France, USA, Canada. It seems like a lot of people are having top 3 as France, USA, Canada. Makes a lot of sense. Finland pick right there by Cave for 4th. You got the UK coming in. A lot of people are high on Great Britain. My worry there is just like Speed and Scrub. I just don't know how that would be. There'd be like too much energy. Like, I guess it works with Speed and a lot. I just don't know if it would work with Speed and Scrub as well. You have Italy making a spot. All right. Number 5, Sweden, Canada, USA, and then France, number 1. A lot of people are France, number 1. Australia will be top 5. I think they're a dark horse for sure. Like, we haven't seen them do well this year, but like if Drip A comes back into form, and that squad could do some damage for sure. Some Finland picks, some Italy picks. I'm surprised we're getting so many Italy picks when there's all these RLCS roster teams. Guess people are just relying on the Cook's dream. Is there a list somewhere? I'll scroll through these again real quick for you guys before we get into it. So USA, it doesn't have to be necessarily my roster, but Garrett G, Justin, and Chicago. Canada, Squishy, Jane Epps, and AXB. France, Fairy Peak, K-Dop, and Chaussette. Scrub, Speed, and Devo from Great Britain. Fruity, Ronicky, and Maestro, Denmark. Panda, Rumco, and Flakes from Netherlands. And then here's all the extra ones. And then, of course, we have OCE, Torsos, CJ, and Drip A, and Cammy, Adzi, and Bluey for New Zealand. And then Brazil, just full-on teams, basically, from Brazil, because it's so many of them. If there's more talent from France, I would rank them higher. Oh man, Jennings with a throwdown. All right, let's get into it. Who I think would win? France, obviously. K. Fairy Peak and Chaussette. I think they would definitely probably take this. So I think it would be relatively close versus USA. I do have USA a little bit above Canada. Like I feel like Canada has two incredible players, and then it's like the unknown, right? Do you bring in an AXB? Do you bring in a Corrupted G? Like Corrupted G, like obviously has experience, but I think Garrett G. Justin and Chicago would probably be a force to be reckoned with, for sure. But of course, if it has Garrett G. and Justin on the team, they're going to come in second. They can't win it. It's just the way it is. The only thing they've won is a rubber duck in a basement. So they're not going to win on the world stage. Come on. Canada, third. Netherlands, fourth. Like, I think that team could do some damage. And then I have Great Britain in fifth. But honestly, like all those European teams could do some damage here. Same with OCE. Same with Sam, too. Let's not forget that like Sam would probably have the advantage over OCE just because they would probably be full on teams already. So who knows? But this is what I got here. I'm super excited. I'm super excited to see how these qualifiers work, how the land qualifiers work in Poland. Like that would be amazing. And then of course Tokyo, which please, hopefully, I get to go to Tokyo and help with this event in any way possible. But I think it'll be a ton of fun to watch. I think it'll be probably the highlight of the year. Like, it doesn't have the same prize pool as like a world championship, but I don't think it necessarily needs it. Like, I think people are going to have a lot of fun watching this, and also just like the players want to win for their country, right? So I think it'll be a ton of fun. So we'll see as more news unfolds for this pre-Olympics event. But I'm pretty stoked about it. Seems pretty cool. Hopefully you guys are too. And yeah. So that's my top 5 teams. Tell me why I'm wrong in the comments below for YouTube. Twitch chat, say bye to YouTube. Tell me what your teams would be. Tell me why they would win it all, you know? Because who knows? It could be anyone's game. I really do hope that a lot of these like European bubble players that are coming from maybe countries that don't have as much representation in the RLCS begin to play a lot more, right? Because they want to have a chance at this, and I think that'd be really cool. But yeah, that's it. All right. That'll do it for this video. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.